Controversy tonight surrounding the East Cleveland Police Department after the city rehired an officer fired by the past administration for multiple allegations, including sexual harassment. Michelle Nix explains.
An East Cleveland police sergeant fired less than 30 days ago by the previous mayor and administration has now been rehired at the order of the acting police chief. And some question how this could happen just days after a new mayor takes office. East Cleveland Police Sergeant Todd Karosha was terminated from the department on December 12th of last year. At the time, Mayor Latik Shabazz said the immediate termination follows, quote, extensive findings of fraud, falsification, insubordination, and unlawful service spanning 2 decades, as well as inappropriate conduct, including sexually explicit text messages sent to female employees, which led to harassment complaints. But on Wednesday, an order obtained by 19 News was issued and signed by East Cleveland's acting chief of police, Reginald Holcomb, saying, quote, effective January 7th, Commander Karosha will be reassigned to Civil Service Sergeant in the Detective Bureau on Monday, January 12th. 19 News reached out to the police chief just minutes after City Hall closed, and he was not available. But Mayor Sandra Morgan, who took office on Monday, did call me, saying after receiving my call, she had a conversation with the acting chief. And she says, quote, the decision to put Sergeant Todd Karosha back on the job was based on legal and union advice. Because the case that's supposedly been handed over to the prosecutor is based on allegations that have not been proven. The investigation into Sergeant Karosha continues. These are serious allegations, but he is innocent until proven guilty. In most cases, an officer under union protection is put on paid administrative leave during an investigation or even after criminal charges have been filed. But in this case, 19 News reached out to the prosecutor's office, and we were told there is no open investigation in their office into this officer. So stay tuned. Reporting in East Cleveland, Michelle Nix, 19 News.